traversed the tombs of Naxxramas. We've climbed every cliff on Black Rock. Now the world cries out for heroes. As a new evil rises, there will be danger. There will be doom. There will be ancient temples filled with relics, treasures, and traps. Who will answer the call?
We will lead, explorers lead, and we are in need of explorers. Adventure we seek, cross land and sea. Won't you come and join us?
Yes!
Welcome back, everyone, to the SL I-League Star Series. Lothar seems over-eager, actually, to cast today. So, well, he's going to be pretty lucky. We have 4 more matches to go. We got Lifecoach versus Hotform up next. We have 4 matches left. The first one was over within, probably the shortest time it ever could have been, right? 3-0, 20 minutes.
Yeah, we had that one match already. That was the first game from Lifecoach, actually, right? Yesterday was yesterday was a 3-0 from Lifecoach, which was actually pretty quick. Well, considering it was Lifecoach and Stansifka together, so it could have been a lot longer. But today, actually, that just beats the record completely. 20 minutes, 3-0. Stansifka over Cypher. The next one will be Lifecoach versus Hotform. So again, we'll see whether or not Hotform's lineup will hold, because he had a really interesting druid, very, very ramp heavy with zombie chows. Well, he had 6 zombie chows in his whole lineup. So it's basically 2 zombie chows per deck. And also, very interesting thing about his druid is the fact that we didn't see a single force of nature nor a savage roar. So we might guess there are none of those.
We saw Nourish, which also indicates a lot of ramp, and we started theorizing whether it would be kind of a Naga Sea Witch type of deck, but we didn't see any kind of crazy late game legendaries to support that theory. So it looks like a ramp deck with a lot of taunts to actually maybe stop some of the aggression that he expected, which is funny because the only player to have brought aggro decks was Cypher. All the other players are playing some variants of mid-range or control.
Yeah, exactly. And usually when you play ramp, it excels against aggro decks. You can just play an Ashen of War on turn 4, an example, and your opponent doesn't have a Hunter's Mark or a Silence. They usually just seal the deal, or just stem so much bleeding that you can develop further into the turns and take the advantage of your high value cards that your deck consists of. But in this situation, the greedy decks like the Paladin from Lifecoach can just take advantage of that, because he wants to play slow too, but at the same time, the Paladin has even more value in his cards than the Druid, especially when taking into account that 4 cards in the Druid deck are basically useless.
Almost useless, right.
But cards like Dana's Aspirant in the late game and Wild Growth are basically something that you would like to have. Instead of those cards, you would like to have just a huge minion. Even a 4-drop would be better.
Yeah, and the zombie chows also make that a lot weaker. So the Paladin from Lifecoach should be able to at least get a win versus the Druid. In theory, it's all well and good to say that it should have the edge, but we've also seen big upsets. For instance, Hotform yesterday, and it's kind of funny because he seemed to be winning almost guaranteed, and then all of a sudden, because he didn't have Force of Nature or Savage Roar in his deck, he couldn't find the last bit of reach to win against Cypher for the first few matches. He ended up getting the win at the end, but it took everything. He got 2-0'd and then made a reverse sweep, but the Druid seems to be kind of a weak spot of his, and he's also the only player to have brought Shaman, and it's more of a mid-range type with, again, Zombie Chows.
And Bloodlust.
Right, 1 Bloodlust at least.
So he doesn't play Savage Roar and Druid, but plays Bloodlust and Shaman.
Yeah, it compensates. You just throw it over. You're like, yeah, this is kind of the same thing. It's a really interesting deck though that you have for Shaman. I didn't really expect it. I thought I would see more of the kind of mech aggro or just pure aggro. That seems to be rocking the ladder right now. And he decided to bring a more typical mid range with the addition of Trogs and Zombie Chows. It really makes the early game more consistent, and maybe you're able to better protect that Mad-Tide Totem. So it's interesting the way he built the deck.
There's a Manatite Totem. Completely forgot about that. When there's Shaman is in a spot when But basically, if you lose early game, you can't go back into the game, because even though you might easily clear the board with a lightning storm, well, of course, a lucky one with the most high rolls, but at the same time, the overload takes you into a spot when you can't build tempo afterwards. So Shaman has a really, really difficult time building the board after he loses the board control, and just not enough comeback mechanism. And so the double zombie chows is here to help with that start, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very tricky because we saw him yesterday just top deck the worst possible scenarios at the very end of the game. And I think that's kind of what happens when you start putting, that many cards to help you with the early game, and then it doesn't work your way. The Shaman is, I think, the most interesting deck from Hotform. I mean, the Druid is definitely interesting, but it seems to lack the punch that we usually see in mid-range. But the Shaman, with the Nubian Eggs, the Trogs, the Zombie Chows, it's just got that old school Shaman feel, kind of updated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty big fan of that. Well, there it is. There we go. See the we see Totem Golem, one of the best 2-drops, if not. No, it's not the best. Never mind. The Minibot will take that hands down. But like Totem Golem is up at the top of the 2-drop food chain. Nerubian Egg is also a very good one for Shaman. You can enable it with Flame Tongues. You can enable it with Rock Biter. And it's a really good protection against cards like AoE that you expect to be coming out. So the Paladin, the Reno Jackson Paladin from Lifecoach, how do you think it'll fare against a Shaman?
I'm not sure. This is a very good question. And, usually, the Paladin is a great against mid-range decks in general, but cards like Totem Golem will be very difficult for Lifecoach to deal with. So much HP.
Yeah.
Like when you think about it, it's kind of like a mini bot, because you don't care.
In one hit, right? In one body instead of two, right? Kind of.
Yeah, well, kind of like that. But mini bot is easier to get rid of, because you could just need to ping it to get rid of the divine shield. And in the situation, there's like practically 2 divine shields on the Totem Golem in this aspect.
Yeah, it's funny because like the only time where Totem Golem looks pretty bad as the 2-drop is when he's up against the mini bot. But that's literally the only time where it looks bad as a 2-drop. And the only reason Totem Golem doesn't see, as much play maybe as we hoped it would, or it didn't change Shaman, is because it's not enough on its own. However, Shaman with the Tunnel Trog now really got a crazy, buff to their ability to curve out early game, and Totem Golem is no longer the only one who takes care of that. So suddenly, the power of the card is amplified because they're getting a 1-mana 1/3. And I love that. I love that about Shaman, suddenly getting tools that they like to have.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that he's not playing Tusker Totemics, right? We didn't see that at all.
No, not yet. That's true. He's considering maybe just not playing the Golem to get the Manatite out as soon as possible, right? That was his consideration, I think.
But I guess with two drops in your hand, you should go for the Totem Golem as soon as possible. You knew that the opponent is playing Acolytes of Pain, so it's perfectly countering that situation when you can see a Collide of Pain in Lifecoach hand. So I loved it, Totem Golem turn 2 instead of the Manatite Totem on 3, because it doesn't build your board, and as we talked before, Shaman has to build the board as soon as possible.
Yeah, however, look at that now. It looks like the Manatite, if he could only play it right now, would do a lot of work. Unfortunately, though, if you look at Lifecoach's position, the fact that he doesn't have a weapon like True Silver Champion or Coghammer means that he's really left with very little to clear the board. No Consecration to help him out later on, so he's going to have to find draw to carry him forward, and that's where the Acolyte will kind of come in. Do you think Lifecoach could opt to trade the 3/1/1s and his weapon to the 3/4?
Just what I wanted to say. Yes, I think so.
And play the Acolytes. Okay.
I think so, because it seems like the natural way of going into the late game. The 3/4 minion would be the most annoying thing, I think, against Lifecoach in general, because he doesn't have the True Silver Champion, as I said, to clear that with ease, and it doesn't really seems to be like the case in the future either. Because even if you get the True Silver Champion,
what is equality though? Could you pop the egg and equality afterwards to kill the 2 big dudes? That also looks like a good play, because you play another 1/1. Oh,
okay.
He's doing it! Goodness, okay.
This is very good also. I didn't think about it, to be honest, yet, but seems like the best option, because he's doing what we said is the weakest point for Shaman.
Why did he take an extra bit of damage here?
No, he didn't.
Well, yeah, he could have popped the egg with the weapon, right?
Oh yeah, right.
Oh,
yes. Yes,
I guess he wanted to keep the extra
But
1/1.
he gets the extra 1/1, and I think that's very
Sure.
important because that allows him to have the board control, even though it's
Yeah,
a
never
1/1.
mind. Yeah, never mind that. That's a silly question of me. It's actually it just makes a lot of sense. I asked the question because I didn't really realize just how important it is to trade with the board and also have a leftover 1/1. Also, you're threatening Quartermaster, as ridiculous as it sounds, assuming Hotform assumes that could be there at all. So. Just gonna have to slow down on the aggression. And Metatide comes out from Hotform, and funny enough, Lifecoach has no way to deal with it. This is unusual.
Well,
Oh,
he now
never
has.
mind. Nice. Well done.
Yeah, this has to be used, right? It's a great way to just play around the card advantage that the Manatite Totem will get in Hotform here, and I think that's. Even though the Keeper of Uduman is a great way to deal with huge threats like, an example, Doctor Boom or Fire Elemental, I think it's just too far away to play around that. And Low Tap might be more useful in later turns when you would like to play around the Bloodlust or the Lightning Storms, right?
Yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense. You're able to play a little bit more around that. Plus, you're also keeping a big board, right? Which is a really big deal. The fact that you're playing a 3/3 before it's turn 6 means that right now Hotform has to deal with a 3/3 without relying on the Fire Elemental immediately. So that means he's going to have to take time out of his day, basically, to deal with this. And that lets you play the Emperor, and you race ahead on the board. And then he has to deal with, 2-3 threats possibly at the same time,
Well,
if everything goes well. Well, sure, but I mean, technically, Lifecoach's plan was basically to force Hotform in a spot where everything is awkward.
Yeah, his turn was very awkward to say the least, and it still doesn't look good. Like Lifecoach in this situation will just drop the Emperor most likely, get huge advantage. He can even play Tyrion next turn when his opponent is down on the 4 cards, so there's a small chance of having the Hex, and he just used the Airshock also. So the silence is gone away from the hand for sure. I wouldn't blame him for just going like the value game here. So kill the totem, Emperor,
and then just
exit
play
token.
Emperor. Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no way, unless your opponent will use a Crackle and an example of Flame Tongue Totem, though the roll will be unlucky, to get rid of that Emperor.
Yeah, double Flame Tongue, perhaps, but even then, that's like, why would you feed 2 Flame Tongue Totems to a board like this? It looks really awkward. So this is obviously the play that Hotform has to make, and it is a good play. Granted, also, you have to keep in mind, he's got the ability to use Flame Tongue possibly later with the Alakir. And right now, I think Lifecoach will be, trying to deal with everything that's on the board. Because, I mean, the 6/5 you don't want to kill, but you don't have Aldor. So it's kind of painful to let it sit there. And if there's a Hex, then Tyrion is kind of awful. So it's a tough turn, I think, for Lifecoach.
It's not looking super easy, but I would say just to kill the both 1/1s and play Tyrion, because you play around the 1/1 hitting the Divine Shield.
Oh
And
man,
so that brings a lot of value. I mean, I don't like usually I am not the biggest fan of sacrificing 5 damage to the face when you just kill a 1/1. Or even a 2/2, but in this situation, you just put your Divine Shield into great use. So I would still favor that.
Right, it is Shaman. You saw an Earth Shock. If there's a Hex, then the Fire Elemental still has to attack the 0/1, which means your Emperor is protected. So you're getting another round of value from it, which means at some point you're going to be able to get a huge tempo swing. Loatheb here prevents any kind of weapon-based removal. And this is kind of what I was considering, right? I was telling you, Tyrion looks like you can play it, but it's a single all-in. And yes, you're forcing a trade, but you're not really dealing with the board.
You're not dealing with the board, but at the same time, if your opponent doesn't have a Hex, you almost automatically win, right?
Yeah, I wonder what Lifecoach's plan is here, though, because he's looking at this and he says, I'm going to push for 5 damage. I'm not going to kill the 1/1. I'm setting up 12 on board, and over 2 turns with an Ashbringer, if it ever pans out, I'm supposed to win. I think the idea is I can play Karen and my Tuskar Jouster on 8 anyway, so I should be winning. And Tyrion is a last-ditch effort after he hacks my Karen. That looks like a thought process I could get behind.
Well, for Hotform though, It doesn't look great anyway. He can use the Flaming Totem, but then he's not able to play the second Fire Elemental, and I think the Fire Elemental seems to be the best option here anyway.
I go Trog, I Fire Elemental the Acolyte, and I punch face for 7. just full Smork. Could you actually just go full Smork here?
Yeah, I was thinking about the same.
I kind of like it, because at this stage, maybe you kill the Acolyte, as we mentioned, but at this point, you really can't afford wasting damage, and you've got Alec here with Flame Tongue next turn. I mean, Lifecoach has to deal with everything at this point. Or at least consider it very strongly.
Well, the Flame Tongue Totem has a big red dot on its face, so it has to be killed almost instantly. He's actually has fire. Never mind. Stupid joke.
It has a big fiery dot on the face. Is that it? Are you saying it's a Hindu totem? Lothar,
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying
anything. All right. Lothar says nothing.
The Emperor had 2 turns, so it makes Tyrion 6 mana, so you can squeeze a Knife Butler.
I'm gonna get 3 turns, man. It's getting everything. I think I'm gonna go here with the True Silver, kill the Flame Tongue. I think that's what I would do. Play it as cautiously as you can. Even play Tuskar Jouster, get out of reach of any type of burst, such as Crackles and whatnot. It's unlikely, but it does happen, and it can be dangerous.
Go for the Tyrion this time.
All right. He's on 11 health. If there had been a Crackle and whatnot, this could have gone a little alright, but it's going to be fine.
Well, we remember that he's playing Reno Jackson too, right?
Whoa, that is scary.
It is.
That is really scary.
And there's also the True Silver champion.
The Jouster has to win.
There's a huge chance that he will win, I guess. 2 zombie chows.
Yeah, Hotform has what? A Dr. Boom left and 2 zombie. Yeah, I mean, this is funny. Zombie Chow is going to backfire on Hotform. Just watch it. And there we go. The Hotform Chow. This is basically what it does every time. It's like, I can be there in the early game, but when I can really screw you over Hotform, I'm going to show up. I'm going to ruin every chance you have at anything.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. That's hilarious. Oh, I love this. I love this Zombie Chow.
Oh, man.
What a little troll. I wonder if it was a troll when it was alive. What do you think?
Wait, what?
Maybe it's an undead troll.
Okay, let me Google that Zombie Chow.
Yeah, maybe Zombie Chow is actually a troll. A long, long time ago.
I feel like it's a human, man.
It doesn't look like one. It's got like a crooked back like trolls. But I guess it doesn't have the tusks. Yeah, I guess you're right.
It has to be a human. Human, I mean.
The Hotform's looking in a pretty bad spot here, but he does have the Alec here with the Rock Biter to kill Tyrion, give a weapon to his opponent. He can then kill the Emperor if he so chooses. But
that's it. Because Brand Bronzebeard. I mean, I wanted to actually ask you, what is the Brand Bronzebeard combo here? Fire Elemental?
So number 1, it's with Fire Elementals. Number 2, it could be, and I don't know if he plays those cards, with Abusive Sergeant. That card is absolutely insane in some cases. It can do so much work.
Oh, look at that.
It's
the second time it's happening.
Second time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a lot of stuff on the board. Elemental Destruction top deck. Get a Scarab.
Like seriously, whenever I see Karn with Bloodhoop, I'm like, where's Artosis? Why is he not playing in this tournament? This was so much fun.
Zombie Chow.
The Zombie Chows are just like such a back-breaking experience when you don't play them on turn 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Actually so bad when you play Zombie Chow like during late game. It's only good when you play against a mage, and that's it. And the mage plays mirror entities.
It has to be that one exact specific scenario, right? Like there's no other time where you're happy to play it late game. I guess in some cases you could always play it before mind control effects and whatnot, but that's really hard to control. So it's really just about against mages, really late game. There's some cases though where in Fatigue Wars, let's say against warriors, it's all right? Because if they're stacking armor, that little dude will take it away or chip it away at it at least for a little while. But it's kind of It's kind of an all-in card against aggro, is what it is.
Yep. Now, Lifecoach will switch to his Druid or Warlock. The Warlock was a Dragon Malagos deck, and the Druid was the standard mid-range one, if I remember correctly, right?
Mid-range Druid, it is for Lifecoach.
Did it have Kel'Thuzad? No, the Kel'Thuzad wasn't a Paladin.
No, Lifecoach is playing Kel'Thuzad and Paladin Sky Golem in his Druid. So
Right. Okay, so I was on a good track, but man, too much decks. Too much decks.
Okay, so here's the cool thing that I want to share that I think a lot of people may be able to relate to. I queued up on Ladder yesterday about a dozen games, and out of those, let's say 10 or 12 games, I had maybe 8 different decks, maybe 9. And that's a long time since I've seen such a diverse metagame where nothing is quite the same every time I queue up. I'm loving it right now.
You know what is my experience lately? When I queue up against, let's say 10 times, 8 times out of 10 I'm getting Secret Paladin, and then I switch to a deck that should be great against Secret Paladin, and I get Control Warrior and a Rogue.
And Reno Warlock? Where's Reno Warlock? You don't see any of that?
It's always switches around when I'm switching my deck. And it's just like, yeah, now you play 8 times against Secret Paladin in a row.
Dude, I have a trick that Blizzard doesn't want you to know, okay? The trick is switch your deck every game. You switch your deck every game, you will get a different type of opponent every time. That's just how it works, man. You think, okay, so here's the deal. You think the top 100 legend is actually decided at the end of the season? It's before the season starts. It's like the card back. It's already set in stone. They just make your matchups line up. Like, that's just what it is, Lothar.
It sounds like the clickbait from, any website. He knows how to queue up your decks. Blizzard hates him.
Oh, goodness.
Click to read.
Yeah, click to read more about this. I should totally just make an article about this and see how many people I control with that. It's worth it. It's worth a shot. So, Lifecoach on the Druid versus Hotform on the Warlock. It is a Malagos Warlock. We do not know what Hotform is discovering, but he picked up Finley out of the 3 1-cost card that he was offered. And I suspect Finley, although it does look like kind of a bad card, when you're looking down at a Druid, you get the ability to heal up at some point.
Well...
Robot. Bebop.
You're a bot. You should go to a certain channel. Hotform will be proud of you. Anyway, Hotform is playing the Twilight Drake right now, and that means this will give a huge headache for Lifecoach. Because, Druid has a big problem to deal 7 damage to a minion with his... Because he has to do that with his swipes and wraps or his own minion. But the Innervate cheats on the game and queues up Dr. Bowman turn 5.
Am I back?
Well, you're back, but your voice is still like kind of Brookback Mountain, man.
Beep, bop, I'm a bot.
Brook Bot Mountain.
Well, go on Twitch. I'll go with my brothers.
Huh. Well, it seems like now a hard position for Hotform. The Dr. Boom requires immediate attention, because it's a single Savage Roar might turn this really badly. And wow, 4 damage from the bomb. I was thinking about trading with the Dark One, but Hotform disagreed, and now he will lose a lot of value just because of that one bomb. I see the sim being developed as easy as double Darkness's Aspirant, hit the 4/7 with the Dr. Boom, then use the hero power to attack into the Twilight Drake and finish him off with the bot. Huh.
Alright. Is my voice alright?
Well,
yeah, I'm still a robot, am I not? Yep, looks like
maybe try to...
we should stop using Skype one day.
Yeah, that would be great, man.
My robot overlords will eventually take the thing down.
Can you try to join the call again? That'll be awesome.
Sure.
Ring, 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 ring. Noxious, are you there? Anyway, I'll be solo casting this until Noxious is back. Oh wait, he's back, but he's not talking yet.
I'm here.
Yes.
Oh, my voice is back.
Yes, your voice is back. Did you take some
My
medicine?
name, Mr. Destructoid, reporting in forecasting duty.
You said duty.
Wow, you can silence your own Drake and coil it. So this is like I was talking about Finley early. I was actually talking about Finley before I started going all Mr. Destructoid on you. Is basically this card is interesting because Hotform will eventually get the opportunity to get a very high. Well, right now, you know, there's a good chance with the 2 Drakes drawing, good chance to get himself, you know, Priest hero power, Warrior hero power. Those things can actually help, and funny enough, you can also use it with, you know, Shaman to get totems.
I mean,
against Druid. It's so annoying.
you have 2 Usher Drakes to back up your draw capabilities, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's so great. Wait, what? The discovery didn't trigger. Oh no!
Yeah.
He has no hero power now.
We just he gets to pick Ragnaros hero power.
That'll be awesome, by the way. If you get like an example, Jarax's hero power. Imagine
Honestly,
that.
I think Priest would be amazing here. Oh, he got. Oh, that's the. What were the options? It must have been something like Mage, Paladin, Druid, right? Or Rogue, Druid, and
Yeah,
Pally.
Rogue is even worse than Druid in this situation.
Yeah, I think you know what? They will eventually release the stats and show us just how often nobody takes the Rogue hero power from Finley, and then they will
I took
rework
it
the
once.
class.
I took it once and I was like, okay, now I lost. Now I lose. That was horrible.
You know, this is you should play Finley in Mage actually, because you can play it with Blade Flurry when you get it from Spellslinger.
We
Yeah.
yesterday there was a case. Who was that?
I don't remember.
I think it was
somebody
actually
had the
Hotform.
choice.
I
No, it
think
was
it was-
Cypher. I think Cypher tried to.
okay.
Yeah, he was stuck with the Blade Flurry in hand. Anyway,
Zombie Show.
coil for 2, pretty sweet here. And it's funny now because Hotform, with the hero power that he has, we will see whether or not this will make a difference. Oh well, GG. Never mind. There was nope.
Yeah, I
that's
just want
it.
to say that doesn't really matter, bro.
Never
Doesn't
mind.
really matter. Lifecoach takes it on turn 8. It's not even turn 8. It was a wild growth, so it's turn 7. Well, that was fast.
Yeah, I feel like I was a robot for half the game.
2-0 for Lifecoach, and he's left with his Warlock deck, which is one of the most powerful decks in general in the metagame, and it will have to lose 3 times against a lineup consisting of Shaman.
Yeah, it is the
And
Malagos
6
Warlock,
zombie
right?
chows.
So yeah,
Like, Zombie Chow is the best thing that can happen to a Warlock. I mean, he has Hellfires. So they actually help him a lot.
yeah. And what's funny is, you know, unlike Reno Jackson Warlock, which suffers from a crazy amount of inconsistency in clearing the board, the Malagos Warlock has 1 Shadow Flame, 2 Hellfires, or 2 Hellfires straight up,
2 Hellfires, 1 Shadow Flame. Is
1 Shadow
I
Flame.
see.
So they kind of run like the normal roster of cards that Handlock used to run. So
Yep. It looks like I think that Hotform should start with his own Warlock, I guess, in this situation, or maybe no, the Ram Droid would be awful. He goes with the
yeah,
shot.
you might, yeah, you go with the worst matchup. It's Conquest, right? So at this point, it doesn't matter. He's also got the Earth Shocks for Twilight Drakes, if those show up. So that probably might be among the considerations he's making.
Well, he has Tunnel Trog. There are no Zombie Chows inside. How much Overload cards does he have? Because there are no 2-drops that have Overload apart from Totem Golem in his deck. He doesn't
Right.
play Ancestor Knowledge. He doesn't play Lightning Bolts, from what I've seen.
No, we haven't. We actually haven't seen Lightning Bolt in his deck because it's not the type of aggressive deck that aims to seize the board with Tunnel Trog early and just consolidate their lead there. It's trying to curve nicely on like the most important turns for this Shaman are basically 3 to 5, right? Those are where he knows whether or not he's in for the win or if things will start going downhill. So Lightning Bolt in that sense doesn't necessarily guarantee much value. But I could see it being cut in mid-range decks as well. Oh, wow.
He got the Totem Golem into a Flame Totem, which is insane if Lifecoach doesn't pick some doesn't pick up a early game, would you go for the Dark Peddler?
I go Peddler. I go Peddler here, yeah. I coined the Peddler just to get the trade on this Strog and coil it down afterwards.
Dark
maybe, although that might be risky. It's just such a tough call. Maybe you can afford to be passive, but I really don't think so. You really need to... Maybe even a Soulfire from the Peddler, right? You play that to kill the Totem Golem if it comes out.
Let's see the production value from StarLadder showing us the discovery here. Pops out right now.
Well, it used to.
Here we go.
Oh, wow.
Wow, those are horrible.
Okay. No, Blood Imp is totally good.
Bloodsail Courser is not that horrible against Doomhammer, man.
Yeah. Remove 12.5% of these charges if the enemy didn't attack with it. Otherwise, 16.6.
Yeah.
I mean, Young Dragon Hawk with Power Overwhelming is definitely a threat. I like Blood Imp. I think it's fine. You can put it next turn and just everything you ever play gets buffed.
Wow,
Blood Imp
Rank
is
of Legend was popped. Did you see
wow,
that?
dude, Bloodsail Corsair is there.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
That's pretty... Whoa, no! Well, I guess the idea is that I want to get Dark Bombed and lose all value. But now I'm going to get Coiled and lose all value. That's interesting. Lifecoach might... Is there ever a world in which Lifecoach opts to tap just to weave in the Coil on 3 instead and get an extra draw? Because your turn 3 basically allows you to buffer up that Twilight Drake, right? Like you tap, and then turn 3 you use the Coil.
I think it's okay.
Oh man. Sick plays, mate. It is threatening the Power Overwhelming, right? So Hotform's like, Dark Bomb and this kills my Totem Golem. I hate life. Oh, I would have maybe hero powered and traded here, but he's opting to go face and force Lifecoach to have what he threatened to have. And that's very good. He called the bluff properly because Lifecoach does not have either Dark Bomb nor the PO.
Yep, and this makes it problematic. But at the same time, the Farseer is not that bad anyway, and the Flame Tongue, like, it doesn't really change the situation here. The fact that the Flame Tongue is on the board, it boosts up the creature that already had free attack. It doesn't make it so difficult for him. So I guess this is the time when you just play Farseer, heal yourself, attack with the pirate to the Flame Tongue Totem, and skip the turn. What do you think?
It's kind of, yeah, I mean, it's kind of awkward. I mean, the problem you have is, what if, like, what could be the worst turn 4, Piloted Shredder? Have you seen that in Hotform's deck, right? That's one of your questions as Lifecoach here. Like, what could happen next turn, the worst case scenario? And that would be, if a Shredder comes out and I don't really have an answer to anything on the board, and I take an extra, 5 damage overall? No, Defender is pretty good here.
Interesting. I'm really surprised that he went for the Owl here.
It staggers damage. If there's a Loatheb in Hotform's deck, it also makes it so you can't possibly be locked out of having an answer. So the Twilight Drake, this is a type of card you don't want to play against Shaman, and as a result, this is pretty good because it enables not only the Twilight Guardian right now, but also the Blackwing Corruptor on the following turn, and that could be a game changer for Lifecoach. Whoa, good thing.
Good thing that he didn't play the Twilight Drake.
Good call there, but Hotform's going to use up 2 Rock Biters in the process if he wants to go through this without using anything else. Yeah, he's going to do exactly that. That's got to hurt.
It's a lot of card advantage, but at the same time he still has the board advantage, so it doesn't feel like a waste as much as you would usually feel like it is. But the Zombie Chow in the hand is just dragging down the value even more, and that's the problem. Like, I don't see the problem with the two Rock Biters being played, but with the Zombie Chow.
The Zombie Chow here actually makes your Bloodlust a crazy card, right? Like, that's a really big deal. But right now, Lifecoach can Darkwing, Blackwing Corruptor, the Zombie Chow, if he wants, or Dark Bomb Earthen Ring. Ideally, I feel like Dark Bomb Earthen Ring is only good insofar as you're guaranteed to get a trade with the 4/5, but because you're going into Fire Elemental turn, it's kind of a waste.
Oh my.
Oh wow.
I don't know if it's a curse or what.
I think we'll never see Hotform play a Zombie Chow ever. I think this is the last of them.
Wow.
Can you see a world in which Hotform brings out another lineup ever that contains Zombie Chows in everything?
I don't think so, man. This is just so bad. When you look into his games, the Zombie Chows are just the reason he's losing all of those games. I mean, they can really help in the early game, but at what cost, man? At what cost?
So many possibilities.
He's slowly getting out of the hole. The Farseer and the Darkbomb will guarantee him a lot of value and bring him up back to 20. Which is insane. He can just play Zombie Chow. Yeah.
Right.
Farseer
Dark
and
Bomb
Darkbomb.
and Farseer.
Darkbomb Farseer, not a bad idea, but Darkbomb the Zombie Chow, good idea.
Yeah, no, both are. Why would he Dark Bomb his own Zombie Chow? You just
No, the
Stop confusing
Farseer,
me.
man.
you Dark Bomb your own Farseer?
Of course.
No,
It's the new
you have to Dark Bomb the Searing Totem, obviously. He's gonna be like, that's the thing right now that's the problem with Hotform, is that those Zombie Chows basically healed for, 10 total on Lifecoach, which basically means, technically, Lifecoach right now should not be at 23. He should be at most at 13. So these two cards really ruined his ability to deal with basically anything that Lifecoach throws.
Ruined.
But I kind of like this position though from Hotform. He can actually afford trading away the 2/2 and the 1/1. Totem first, not to get a Searing back, is my assumption.
Or goes for the Airshock and trade.
Yeah, it's going to give good incentive for Lifecoach to start popping out the threats. But honestly, this mana tide is a bit of an issue right now. Doesn't look like much, but
I mean,
it's
Lifecoach will just drop the bombs, literally. Dr. Boom will go, and the two boom bots will give him a lot of value. And I'm sure that he is aware that Hotform, with even 2 cards when he played the Rockbiter already, there's no way he can finish him off. Like, he's playing the more board control-ish Shaman with Bloodlust, so there are not a lot of burst cards like Lightning Bolts, Crackles.
We haven't seen Crackles at all either. So Zombie Chow is obviously a better card than Crackle for the purpose of early board control versus aggro. The problem is it loses a lot of value later on when you're facing off against.
Hello? Got cut off. Anyway, I'll be simulcasting again.
Really?
Oh, you're back. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know, man. Skype things. Yeah.
I love Skype.
Lifecoach has a lot of options. He can queue. I mean, he's not mana efficient this turn. Although he can tap into Twilight Drake into Dark Bomb, but I feel like Azure Drake is just slightly better because of the Dark Bomb being 4 damage instead, and then he goes actually for that killing. He's killing the Twilight Drake for just 2 mana, which is insane. And still has the access to the attack with the Dr. Boom and the Zombie Chow, right? Yes. So this looks like another sweep to me.
It's not over though, because the
Ready? You think so?
I mean, no. I mean, there's almost. I mean, I feel like if you Fire Elemental face, and picked up Flame Tongue here with Alec here next turn, you might be able to get away with it. But right now it's looking a bit perhaps too grim. There's no AoE still for Lifecoach though, but I guess the anti-kill bot will seal whatever potential death
Look at the abusive
he
surgeon.
might have run into.
Well, he can still get it.
He absolutely could get the abusive from the peddler here.
Let's see if it's abusive surgeon.
Not
well,
quite.
there's the Voidwalker, which is a great card in this situation. Just puts a wall that will soak up a lot of damage in this particular case. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Voidwalker would just be picked up.
Or
Otherwise,
the
the corruption
PM with the chicken.
The PM with the chicken. That's some ballsy play. But
I think it's all right.
no.
not for Lifecoach. All right, it's not all right for Lifecoach. It's not the type of play that he makes.
4 damage to the face. Wow. So now he actually gets the benefit. He almost gets the value from the Zombie Chow. with that 4 damage.
Almost.
Almost. And I guess the Lifecoach will just proceed with the with the heal bot, just to go out of range of anything that can happen from Hotform's deck, and beat him with the zombie Chosto. That's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the only thing, even Bloodlust Wind Fury, like when Bloodlust Wind Fury doesn't save you, then you're in a really, really awful spot. So right now, the Hotform is gonna have to make trades. He's gonna have to use the Spider to kill the Voidwalker, the Fire Ellie to kill a 7/7. But then, what do you do after that point? Like you have to buff up the Spider to 2 health. I mean, do you really want to do that?
Well, you need to anyway. You don't have enough mana to tap, so this looks kind of sad for Hotform. He needs to deal the 10 damage right now, but at the same time, if he doesn't kill the Dr. Boom,
he's dead to Hellfire, I guess.
Yes, there are so many outs, but he can't spare 10 damage to the face. That's the problem.
Actually,
Big Game Hunter picks up clean the Elemental and ends the game for Lifecoach. Another 3-0 today. We are going in a really, really blitzkrieg fashion. I mean,
I think
just
right,
super fast.
I mean, Lifecoach is obviously a great player, but I mean, even against anybody, you're picking up those wins. I feel like right now we can spot the weakness of the Zombie Chows and Hotform's decks, because every single time we've seen them, I don't think they have done anything. All these games, right? Every single time those cards might have been anything else, and they would have done probably a much better work of it. So it's just unfortunate, I think, for Hotform that he's playing a lineup that is better against aggro, and that there's so little of it. And by the way, Lifecoach and Stancifka are now both 2 victories and 1 loss. So, I mean, Lifecoach right now, doesn't have a loss. So Lifecoach is 2-0. Stancifka is currently 2-1, which means that Lifecoach currently is in the lead, right?
Oh, Lifecoach lost 1 game.
Oh, he lost versus Dog. That's right.
Everyone was 1-1 after yesterday.
Right.
So, but Lifecoach and Stancifka have the advantage of winning already 2. So they know if they win the 3rd one, they most likely, well, they advance. That's it. They advance. If they both win their last games, they both advance directly from the groups, and rest of the players will have to worry about what's happening. But because Lifecoach and Stancifka was actually the first game played in the groups yesterday, so they can't be paired against each other again.
I think Lifecoach is guaranteed to advance just because of the points difference. Even if he ends up 2-2, he'll be in the middle of the pack and just good enough to make it through.
Well, the first thing that's being
to go to the last chance
consideration is the result between players. So if Lifecoach is tied with someone else on the place, it just matters if he won against that person or not. So an example, if we will be paired with the same placing as with Stancifka, he is advancing over Stancifka because he won against Stancifka, and that's it.
Right.
But we'll see.
The next match will be actually it's going to be Stancifka again for the 2nd time today, and the last time actually in this group. His last opponent will be Dog, so it'll be like the last match that Stancifka has to really decide or determine at least whether or not he's going to move on, 3-1 and thus take the top 2 to get to the 2nd phase of group stage. Otherwise, he might still have to compete or let the other players play out their games to see whether or not he makes it to the last chance. So that being said, guys, we'll be taking a short break, hopefully, and be right back with Stancifka versus Dog. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.